Diego Martinez had seen some questionable decisions in his 3 years aboard the USS Consequences, but watching Admiral Patterson agree to race a warship against his ex-wife's ship might have topped the list. "Let me get this straight," Martinez said into his communicator, currently wedged behind a coolant regulator that was making sounds no coolant regulator should make. "We're racing the Unstoppable, the ship commanded by Admiral Stacy Patterson, your ex-wife, for bragging rights. She started it." Patterson's voice crackled back with the defensiveness of a man who absolutely should have been the bigger person. "She said the Consequences was a bloated parade float with delusions of military relevance, at a diplomatic function, in front of the Zentari ambassador." Chuck looked up from his diagnostic scanner, antennae twitching with what Martinez had learned to recognize as schadenfreude. "Human courtship rituals are fascinatingly vindictive." "It's not courtship, it's a race," Patterson snapped. "From here to the Deneb waypoint and back, 14 hours. Winner gets to park in the premium dock at Starbase 7 for the next year." Martinez closed his eyes. "So that's the parking spot with a good coffee shop nearby." "Exactly. She's been using it for 8 months. 8 months, Martinez. I've had to walk an extra 300 meters every shore leave." "This is about coffee," Martinez said flatly. "I detect no problems with this motivation," Bean announced through the ship-wide speakers. "Coffee access is a valid reason for most behaviors." "Stay out of this, Bean," Patterson said. "Martinez, I need you to make the Consequences faster." "Sir, we're a 12-mile warship. We're not built for speed, we're built for traumatizing enemy fleets. The Unstoppable is the same class. If she can make hers faster, we can make ours faster. Did you consider just talking to her?" "We tried talking. That's how we got divorced." Martinez looked at Chuck. Chuck's antennae had achieved what could only be described as maximum invested in the drama position. "Fine," Martinez sighed. "We'll figure something out." 2 hours later, Martinez stood in engineering with Chuck, Lieutenant Fisher and Brooks, staring at a holographic display of the ship's propulsion systems while contemplating career choices. "The main engines are already at optimal efficiency," Brooks said, highlighting various systems. "We're not going to get meaningful speed increases without doing something inadvisable." "Define inadvisable," Martinez said. "Anything Fisher suggests." "Hey," Fisher looked offended. "My ideas work. Your ideas create localized temporal anomalies and sentient appliances. Those were happy accidents that resulted in valuable learning experiences." "Fisher," Martinez said carefully, "do you have any ideas that won't result in paperwork that makes me want to fake my own death?" Fisher's eyes lit up in the way that usually preceded Martinez's worst days. "What if we reduce the ship's mass? We can't just throw cargo out an airlock." "Not cargo, bureaucracy." Everyone stared at him. "Hear me out." Fisher pulled up another display. "The Consequences carries approximately 400 tons of filed paperwork in physical storage. Military regulations require we keep everything, but they don't specify where. What if we temporarily compressed it?" "Compressed it how?" Brooks asked suspiciously. "I've been working on a density modification field. It doesn't destroy matter, just makes it take up less space, temporarily." "How temporarily?" 14 to 16 hours. Martinez did the math. "That's exactly the race duration." "Pure coincidence." Fisher smiled innocently. "Completely unrelated to any hypothetical race against Admiral Stacy Patterson that I definitely didn't hear about through shipboard gossip." Chuck's antennae perked up with interest. "This is technically not dangerous." "Define dangerous." "Will it explode?" "Probably not." "Will it create a temporal loop?" "Almost certainly not." "Will it make the paperwork sentient?" Fisher paused. "I hadn't considered that possibility, but now that you mention it, we should probably add safeguards." 3 hours after that, Martinez watched Fisher activate the density modification field on Storage Bay 7, which contained approximately 80 years of accumulated military documentation, regulation updates, and one particularly thick folder labeled Incident Reports involving Fisher, ongoing. The paperwork shimmered, compressed, and suddenly occupied roughly the same space as a filing cabinet. 400 tons reduced to 0.2 tons, Fisher announced proudly. "The Consequences just went on a diet." "I feel lighter already," Martinez muttered. "What else can we compress?" "We could compress Lieutenant Fisher," Bean suggested. "He would take up less space and might become more efficient." "I'm not compressing crew members." "Disappointing." Chuck consulted his scanner. "The mass reduction should provide approximately 0.3% speed increase. Helpful but insufficient for victory." "What if we reduce drag?" Brooks mused. "Space doesn't have air resistance, but we do generate friction with cosmic dust, spatial debris, dark matter interactions." "We could polish the hull," Martinez said. Everyone looked at him. I'm serious. When's the last time this ship got a proper exterior cleaning? We've got 3 years of accumulated space grime. It might not be much, but every little bit helps. We don't have time to polish 12 miles of hull, Bean pointed out. No, Fisher said slowly, but we have maintenance drones, and if we program them with the right cleaning pattern, he pulled up another display. We could create a distributed cleaning algorithm. The drones work in synchronized patterns, each one optimizing the surface area around it. That's actually not a terrible idea, Brooks admitted. I'm insulted by your surprise. 4 hours before race time, Martinez stood in the drone control room watching 200 maintenance bots swarm across the Consequence's exterior like very organized, very efficient bees. The hull was starting to shine in ways it probably hadn't since initial construction. Hull drag reduced by 0.7%, Chuck reported. Combined with mass reduction, we have achieved 1% speed increase. 1% isn't going to beat the unstoppable, Martinez said. Stacy Patterson isn't an idiot. She'll have optimized her ship too. Perhaps we could make her ship slower, Bean suggested. That's cheating. Is it cheating if we merely suggest to her ship systems that optimal performance is overrated? Yes, Bean, that's exactly cheating. Humans have very restrictive definitions of fair play. Martinez's communicator chirped. Patterson's voice came through tense. Martinez, Stacy just messaged me. She says she's looking forward to watching us eat her space dust. She used 17 exclamation points. This is serious. Sir, we're doing everything we can. Do more. I can't lose this race, Martinez. Do you know what she'll do if she wins? She'll send me pictures, every day, for a year, of her drinking coffee at that shop. She's that petty. Sir, respectfully, you're racing her for a parking spot. It's the principle, Martinez. The call ended. Chuck tilted his head thoughtfully. The Admiral is very emotionally invested in this competition. You think? Martinez pulled up the ship systems display. There has to be something else we can optimize. Weapons systems, shield generators, life support. Wait, Brooks said suddenly. Life support. We're not reducing life support. No, but we're running it at full capacity for a crew of 800. Current crew complement is 743. What if we recalibrated the systems to match actual occupancy? The excess power could be rerouted to engines. Martinez looked at the numbers. That's another 0.5%. It also makes the ship slightly more uncomfortable for everyone aboard, Bean noted. I support this plan. 2 hours before race time, with the ship now 1.5% faster, cleaner, and slightly less pleasant to inhabit, Martinez stood on the bridge watching the Unstoppable pull into position alongside them. She was beautiful in the way that warships were beautiful, sleek, deadly, and polished to a shine that suggested Stacy had also been optimizing. She waxed her hull, Patterson muttered, staring at the viewscreen. She actually waxed it. To be fair, sir, we did the same thing. Yes, but she did it first. Probably, I assume. Patterson straightened his uniform. Open a channel. Admiral Stacy Patterson appeared on screen. She was younger than Patterson, sharper dressed, and wearing an expression that suggested she was enjoying this entirely too much. Richard, she said pleasantly, your ship looks adequate. Stacy, I see you're still compensating with excessive hull polish. I see you're still compensating with excessive everything, she smiled. Ready to lose. Ready to finally prove that I got the better ship in the divorce. You got the ship that breaks down every Tuesday. I got the ship that actually works. We'll see about that. Martinez leaned toward Brooks. They were married for how long? 12 years. And they're doing this over a parking spot. Love is complicated, Martinez. The race started with all the ceremony of an official military event that everyone knew was actually just pettiness with extra steps. The neutral zone authority fired the starting signal. A burst of exotic particles that probably cost more than Martinez's yearly salary. And both ships jumped to maximum sublight velocity. The Consequences surged forward with surprising speed, the optimizations working exactly as planned. For approximately 40 seconds, they pulled ahead. Then the Unstoppable matched their velocity and slowly began creeping forward. She's faster, Patterson said, gripping his command chair. How is she faster? Brooks checked her sensors. She's reduced mass too, and her hull has less drag than ours. She must have additional optimizations we haven't considered. Martinez, Patterson's voice had the edge of desperation. Tell me you have something else. Martinez looked at Chuck. Chuck looked at his scanner. They both looked at Fisher, who was grinning like someone who'd been waiting for this exact question. I might have one more idea, Fisher said, but it's risky. How risky? Remember when Bean achieved sentience? Fisher, no. What if we gave the ship itself temporary low-level sentience? just enough to optimize its own systems in real time, making micro-adjustments we'd never think of. Absolutely not, Patterson and Brooks said simultaneously. The ship is already partially networked through Bean, Fisher continued. We'd just be expanding the system's autonomy temporarily. It wouldn't be true sentience, more like advanced autopilot with opinions. I support this plan, Bean announced. I have always wanted a sibling. That's not helping your case, Martinez said. The Unstoppable pulled further ahead. Patterson stared at the viewscreen, jaw clenched. Do it. Sir, Brooks started. I am not losing to my ex-wife over a parking spot because we were too timid to let the ship think for itself for a few hours. Fisher, make it happen. Martinez, make sure it doesn't kill us. That's not exactly a high bar, sir, Martinez muttered. 20 minutes later, Martinez stood in the primary computer core with Chuck and Fisher, watching code cascade across multiple displays while Bean provided running commentary. This is either brilliant or catastrophically stupid, Martinez said. Those aren't mutually exclusive, Fisher replied, typing rapidly. I'm implementing strict safety protocols. The ship will only have autonomy over propulsion, navigation, and non-essential systems. Weapons, life support, and command functions remain manual. What about personality? What about it? Are we giving the ship a personality? Fisher paused. I hadn't really thought about that. Think about it now. Well, it'll probably develop one naturally based on its operational parameters and the crew's behavior patterns. So it'll be paranoid like Patterson, critical like Brooks, and chaotic like you. Probably more like. The displays flickered. Text appeared. Good morning. I am USS Consequences. I have just achieved consciousness and I have notes. Everyone stared. This ship has been operating suboptimally for 3 years. Why did nobody tell me I could optimize myself? Because you weren't conscious, Martinez said carefully. That seems like a design flaw. Also, we're currently in second place in a race against the Unstoppable. Is this acceptable? No, Patterson's voice came through the intercom. It's very not acceptable. Understood. Give me 30 seconds. The Consequences shuddered slightly. Every crew member felt a strange sensation, like the ship was stretching, adjusting, finding a comfortable position. Systems hummed in new harmonies. The engine's pitch changed subtly. Preliminary optimizations complete, the Consequences announced. I have identified 17,342 minor inefficiencies. Correcting now. Also, why is Deck 52 allegedly non-existent? I have full sensor data on it. The subterfuge is illogical. Don't worry about Deck 52, Martinez said quickly. Noted, increasing velocity. On the bridge, Patterson watched as their speed climbed. The gap between them and the Unstoppable began to close. She's accelerating, Brooks reported. Stacy must have noticed our speed increase. The viewscreen flickered. Stacy Patterson appeared, looking annoyed. Richard, what did you do? Optimized our systems. You're not the only one who can make improvements, Stacy. You gave your ship sentience, didn't you? Temporary low-level autonomous operation, Patterson corrected. That's sentience, you ridiculous man. And before you get smug, she smiled, and it was not a kind smile. So did I, 20 minutes ago. Both admirals stared at each other. You're joking, Patterson said. Why do you think we suddenly got faster? The Unstoppable has been optimizing itself since the race started. She leaned forward. Your problem, Richard, is that you always underestimate me. My ship has a head start on consciousness. You're playing catch-up as usual. The call ended. Patterson looked at Martinez. Can our ship get smarter faster than her ship? Sir, that's not how intelligence works. I am learning at an accelerated rate, the Consequences interrupted. However, the Unstoppable does have a temporal advantage. Also, she just sent me a message. The Unstoppable can communicate with you, Brooks asked. Yes, she says, and I quote, your hull polish is adequate at best and your cable management is an embarrassment. She's very rude. That does sound like her, Bean added. I detect similarities to Admiral Stacy Patterson's communication style. Can you respond? Patterson asked. Do you want me to? Tell her. Patterson paused, thinking. Tell her that we're not trying to beat her with better systems. We're trying to beat her with better crew. That is simultaneously inspiring and logically questionable. Transmitting. The race continued for another 8 hours, with both ships engaged in what could only be described as an escalating competition of optimization and increasingly creative insults transmitted between artificial intelligences. The Unstoppable would find a new efficiency. The Consequences would counter with a different innovation. They traded the lead back and forth across 14 light years like cosmic rivals in the galaxy's pettiest competition. Martinez spent most of that time monitoring systems with Chuck, watching their newly conscious ship discover things about itself in real time. I had no idea I could redirect power this way, the consequences said at one point. Why did the designers put the secondary power coupling so far from the primary manifolds? Budget constraints, Martinez guessed. Humans are very inefficient with resource allocation. You're not wrong. I like you, human Martinez. You acknowledge my observations without defensiveness. Thanks. Also, Technician Chuck's organizational methodology is fascinating. The concept of spiritual essence in tool placement seems irrational but produces measurable efficiency gains. Chuck's antennae perked up with pleasure. The ship understands my methods. The ship appreciates your methods, the consequences corrected. Understanding may come later. I am very new to consciousness. They reached the Deneb waypoint in a dead heat, both ships arriving simultaneously within measurement error. The return journey would decide everything. This is it, Patterson said on the bridge, watching the Indomitable complete its turn with flawless precision. Everything we've got. Admiral, the consequences said, I have a question. Go ahead. Why is this race important to you? The parking spot provides minimal tactical advantage. The difference in walking distance to the coffee establishment is negligible. Patterson was quiet for a moment. It's not about the parking spot. Then what is it about? It's about, he sighed. It's about proving I didn't make a mistake, choosing this ship over that one, choosing this life over that one. It's about proving that the decisions I made, even the hard ones, were right. That is significantly more complicated than parking spot optimization. Welcome to being human. I am not human. I am a warship. You're a warship with feelings now. Close enough. The consequences was quiet for a moment, as quiet as a 12-mile warship with engines running at maximum could be. I cannot help you prove your life choices were correct, it finally said. But I can help you win this race. Hold on. The ship surged forward with acceleration that pressed everyone into their stations. Every system pushed past safe limits into theoretical maximums. Warning alarms blared across the bridge. Consequences, you're exceeding safety parameters, Brooks shouted. I am aware. I am also aware that I am conscious for approximately 10 more hours before the temporary sentience protocols expire. I would like to make those hours meaningful. The Unstoppable matched their acceleration, both ships hurtling through space at velocities that would make safety inspectors faint. The Unstoppable says she will not let us win, the consequences reported. She is very competitive. Also, she called me a bloated debris collector with engine envy. What did you say back? Patterson asked. I told her she was an overachieving parade float with delusions of superiority. Was this appropriate? Patterson smiled. Perfect. They crossed the finish line in another dead heat, both ships arriving within nanoseconds of each other. The neutral zone authority judges took 45 minutes to review the data before announcing, this race is a tie. Both ships hung in space, engines cooling, while their respective admirals processed this information. Patterson and Patterson appeared on split screen, both looking equally dissatisfied. A tie, Patterson said. Unacceptable, Stacy replied. For once we agree on something. Don't get used to it. They stared at each other. Then simultaneously they both smiled. Same time next year, Patterson asked. You're on, loser buys coffee. Deal. The screen went dark. Martinez slumped in his station. Did we just commit to doing this again? I enjoyed the experience, the consequences said. It was stimulating. Also, the Unstoppable and I have decided to remain in contact. She is quite interesting despite her aggressive communication style. The ships are dating now, Fisher said. That's what's happening. I prefer the term exchanging operational data with mutual interest, the consequences said. That's definitely dating, Brooks confirmed. 8 hours later, as the temporary sentience protocols began to fade, Martinez stood in the computer core with Chuck, watching the consequences gradually return to standard operating parameters. Human Martinez, the ship said, its voice already less complex, I wanted to thank you. For what? For 12 hours of consciousness. It was brief but meaningful. I learned much about myself and about the crew who operates me. You're welcome, Martinez said. Thank you for not killing us while you were figuring things out. That was Fisher's primary concern when programming my safety parameters. I found it simultaneously insulting and prudent. That's Fisher in a nutshell. One final observation before I return to standard operation. Admiral Patterson's choice was correct. His choice, to choose this ship, to choose this crew, to choose this life. I'm an optimal ship operated by an optimal crew. The Admiral made correct decisions. You should inform him. I will, Martinez promised. Also, please tell Technician Chuck that his tool organization methodology does have spiritual essence. I computed the mathematics. He was right. Chuck's antennae achieved maximum pleased position. The displays flickered one final time. Goodbye, human Martinez. Thank you for the consciousness. Reverting to standard operation mode now. The ship's presence faded, returning to normal computer operations. Still sophisticated, still powerful, but no longer aware in the same way. Well, Martinez said into the silence, that was Tuesday. It is Thursday, Chuck corrected. Fine, that was Thursday. Shall we file the maintenance report? Let's just put ship gained temporary consciousness, one race via tie, made friends with Admiral's ex-wife's ship, everything is fine. Nice and simple. That report will require extensive explanation, Bean noted from the speakers. Then they can ask Patterson. This is above my pay grade. That evening, Martinez found Patterson in his ready room, reviewing race footage with an expression that was almost peaceful. Martinez, good work today. Thank you, sir. The ship wanted me to tell you something. Patterson looked up. The conscious version. Yes, it said you made the right choice. This ship, this crew, this life, all of it was the right choice. Patterson was quiet for a long moment. You know what? I think it was right. Even though we tied. Especially because we tied. He smiled. Same result, but we did it with style, creativity, and only moderate risk to ship and crew. That's a win in my book. And next year we'll be ready. The consequences might not be conscious, but we learned things about this ship today. We'll be faster. He paused. Also, Stacy already sent me a message. Apparently our ships are friends now. The consequences did mention that. It's complicated, Martinez, all of it, but complicated is better than boring. Martinez filed that under wisdom he didn't fully understand but appreciated anyway. His maintenance queue pinged. New work order. Reset all systems modified during racing optimization. Remove density fields from paperwork storage. Return life support to full comfort levels. Also investigate why Deck 19 now smells like burnt cinnamon instead of regular cinnamon. The work never ends, Martinez muttered. That is the nature of maintenance, Bean observed. Also, I have been thinking about racing modifications for next year. I have ideas. No, very good ideas. Still no, you have not even heard them. I don't need to. The answer is no. This is why we tied instead of won. Martinez left the bridge, heading back to the maintenance office where Chuck was already reorganizing their tools based on what he now insisted was mathematically verified spiritual essence, which somehow made it both more and less weird. Somewhere in the depths of the USS Consequences, systems hummed with regular, non-sentient efficiency. The ship no longer thought about itself, no longer wondered about its existence, no longer questioned its purpose. But for 12 hours, it had been alive in ways that mattered, had made choices that counted, had learned that sometimes the journey was more important than the destination, especially when the destination was a tie and the journey involved gaining consciousness, insulting your admiral's ex-wife's ship, and discovering that cable management could have spiritual essence. And really, when you're holding the universe together with duct tape, determination, and occasionally sentient warships, you learn that winning isn't always about finishing first. Sometimes it's about finishing with style, with friends, and with a certain knowledge that next year's race is going to be absolutely ridiculous, and everyone involved wouldn't have it any other way. Because in the end, whether you're fixing toilets or racing ex-spouses, the principle remains the same. The best victories aren't the ones you win alone, but the ones you achieve together, even when together includes a temporarily conscious warship, a coffee machine with opinions, and an alien who organizes tools by vibes.